There's likely 15 to 20% performance sitting inside your graphics card right now, completely untapped. Here's the order most people get backwards. They either overclock for more FPS or they undervolt for less heat and treat it like you have to pick one. You don't. In this video, we're doing both in the right order. First, we find the actual highest stable speed your card can hit. Then, once we know that number, we bring the voltage down as low as it can go while still holding that same speed. End result, the most FPS your card can give you, running on way less power and heat than it would normally need to get there. This video is for NVIDIA cards only. Let's get into it. Quick explanation before we touch anything. Overclocking raises your GPU's clock speed and memory clock to get more FPS. You get more performance, but also more heat, more power draw, and sometimes more fan noise. Undervolting lowers the voltage your card needs to hit a given clock speed. Since NVIDIA cards already boost themselves based on temperature and power room, a card running cooler on less voltage can often hold a high clock just as well, sometimes better since it's not overheating and holding itself back. Doing both together is where it gets really good. Overclock first to find your card's real ceiling, undervolt second to hit that same ceiling for less power. You're not choosing between more FPS or less heat. You get the FPS first and then reduce the power usage on top of it. Alright, so go to the link in the description and we're going to download MSI Afterburner. You can just download the beta, and then you want to go ahead and open up the launcher, hit next, and then you want to uncheck Reba to statistics server. We're not going to be using it. Hit next and install it. Now, once you have MSI Afterburner open, you want to click the gear icon on the top left to go to settings. You want to click unlock voltage control and unlock voltage monitoring. And then you want to click apply and hit yes right here. Then you want to raise these three sliders all the way up just so there's no limit whenever we're getting our baseline performance. So power limit, if you have this, max that out, and core voltage, make sure to max that out as well, just because this is an important step, especially later on whenever we get to the undervolt steps of the graphics card. Hit apply and make sure that it's completely applied. We're not going to be overclocking yet. This just removes the artificial cap, so our stock baseline is the real one. Now, this part is for clock testing only. Memory does use a different tool. So we are going to run 3D Mark's Steel Nomad test. That's the one that we're going to be using for every core clock test. So go to the link in the description and download the 3D Mark Steel Nomad test. Now, once you have it downloaded, go ahead and extract it. Now, once you have it extracted, it will make a folder like this. All you want to do is run the 3D Mark setup.exe. Then you want to click ignore on that. If you get that pop-up, click next, accept, and then next again. Then wait for it to download. Now, this is a custom 3D Mark. I removed all the other tests except Steel Nomad just because the original 3D Mark is like 12 gigabytes. So this one's only like 2 gigabytes for Steel Nomad only. So it saves you guys that download time and saves you guys from wasting space on a benchmark that you're only going to pretty much use once. Now, once it's done, just go ahead and check launch product and then click finish. All right, and then once it's loaded up, just go ahead and run the benchmark and make sure that, again, the sliders are all maxed out in MSI Afterburner. Now, 3D Mark is also very neat because you can compare your score at the end of the benchmark to the average score of a 5080, for example, which is what I got, and the maxed out 5080s that people have ran before, and see how far you're off from either the average, how far above you are compared to the average score. All right, so as you guys can see, this is my score on stock, so 9,183. You want to write this down, and then everything after this, when it comes to benchmarking this specific test, we're going to compare it to this exact result. Now, go to the link in the description for MemtestVulkan. This is a memory VRAM stress testing software, which shows up all the errors almost instantaneously. So it's very easy to use. So all you want to do is just go to releases and then download the exe, and then you just want to go ahead and drag this over to your desktop. And as soon as you open this MemtestVulkan, it does start stress testing instantly. So make sure that you don't open it just yet. Now, you want to go ahead and open up MSI Afterburner, and for your memory clock, this is what I would recommend. If you are on a 50 series graphics card, I'm going to save you guys some time. You are pretty much going to be able to just max out the slider or at least set it to 2000, just because 50 series graphics cards tend to do that with their GDDR7. Now, if you are anything under a 50 series graphics card, you are going to have to do this the old school way, which is just start at 500, for example, and then run MemtestVulkan after you apply that. Make sure it's stable, make sure there's no errors. And if it's stable, then you could go up to 1,000 and then hit apply on that. And then from there, you could go up by 100 above 1,000. So 1,100, 1,200, so on and so forth up until this starts erroring. Then you want to back off by 100 to 200 just to be safe. And that's pretty much how you overclock the memory on most NVIDIA graphics cards below 50 series. 50 series, they pretty much just all do 3000 with some exceptions on the 5070 and 5060s. Those tend to max out at 2500 depending on what VRAM those cards specifically have. But most 50 series users should be able to just do plus 3000. We're going to go ahead and start the core clock overclock. So you want to start at plus 75 and then hit apply. And once you've done that, you want to go ahead and run Steel Nomad and see your score. And plus 75 should be a great starting point for the 99.9% of graphics cards out there. And sometimes it might be the max overclock that you can get out of your graphics card. So just be wary when it comes to that. So I'm going to go ahead and click run on Steel Nomad and show you guys the score with just plus 75 and the memory overclock done. All right, so as you guys can see, we went up almost 400 points just from that alone. So we're now at 9,569. So great performance uplift right here. So now what you want to do is you want to increase the core clock by 15 to 30 megahertz every single step and keep running Steel Nomad until you eventually either start getting crashes or the score just tends to not increase anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and skip most of that just to show you guys. So the max for this particular graphics card is 275. I'm going to run this and I'm going to show you guys what happens after you go above the max and what is classified as unstable or not increasing performance. So I'm going to go ahead and run Steel Nomad with plus 275. So as you guys can see, it's at 9,827. That's pretty much a great score, went up crazy. So now I'm going to up the core clock by a ridiculous amount and show you guys what happens whenever you get to the max or you're way above the max core clock for your specific graphics card. So for example, I'm just going to go ahead and set it to 400 and click run again. Now you're either going to get a crash or the score at the end of the benchmark is going to be either the same as your last run or barely above it. So as you guys can see, the benchmark completely crashed, and again, this is what it's going to look like whenever it does end up crashing. Now, this is just a very extreme example. It might not be like this just because you're going up in increments of 15 to 30. So just watch out for the score slowly not increasing anymore. So for example, if you go from 9,800 to 9,880, that's not really justifiable as a improvement. It just depends on how far you increased it. If you did 9,880 in an increment of 15 megahertz, that's actually a pretty good thing. Now, let's just say it was in an increment of 45 megahertz and you only went up 80 points. That's whenever it's like a little bit sketchy. Since we now got the maximum result for our graphics card, this is where you can either stop whatever you're doing and just go play your video games and enjoy the extra performance you got from overclocking your graphics card, or this is where you could now actually do an undervolt for your graphics card and save power and get the same exact performance, if not more than stock performance. Now, this is completely up to you guys. If you feel like you don't need to undervolt, you do not have to. You can just go ahead and play your video games. I'd recommend playing a variety of video games to actually make sure that you're 100% stable, just because different workloads are going to hit the graphics card differently. And this is a synthetic benchmark at the end of the day. It is not going to catch all of the errors and all of the crashes that could potentially happen. So I would run games that are not graphically intensive, just so the graphics card is boosting high all the time and seeing if there's any errors after a couple of hours of playing that game or any crashes. If there is, you do need to lower the speed of the graphics card. Now, let's just say you're playing all these games and everything's good to go. You're pretty much good to go. You can save this as a profile on MSI Afterburner by right-clicking one of the numbers here to save a profile. So I would just save this to profile 1. You can also click the save button on the bottom left right here. Now, that's it for a general overclock. We're going to go ahead and move on to how to undervolt with the overclock still applied. Now, we're going to go ahead and undervolt our graphics card. So as you guys can see, what you want to do is click Curve Editor right here. Now, if you don't see this button that says Curve Editor in MSI Afterburner because you changed the skin, you can just simply press Control F. But I'm going to go ahead and click Curve Editor. This is going to open up the voltage/frequency curve editor, and this shows the clock speed at every voltage level, and we're going to cap how high the card is allowed to actually climb up to. Just pick a voltage point to test. For example, I am going to pick 1,000 millivolts like so, and then all you want to do is hold Shift and highlight all the points to the right of 1,000 millivolts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right. So as you guys can see, that's what it's going to look like. Then you want to click the point to the right of 1,000 millivolts, press Shift and Enter twice. And as you guys can see, that's going to go ahead and flatten out the graph just like so. That means it's going to just climb up to 1000 millivolts and nothing above it. Then you just want to click apply right here, and you want to go ahead and run Steel Nomad. Now, at 1000 millivolts, I am not going to lose that much performance or that much score at this voltage range, just because the boost clock is still around 3200 megahertz. Now, the lower that you go on that voltage frequency curve, the lower the frequency is going to be, just because you're at a lower voltage. So keep that in mind once you do this, just because you are going to be sort of reducing the performance, but at the same time, compared to stock performance, you are still way above it. So with the undervolt and the overclock still applied, we're still getting the same score in Steel Nomad, which is great. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop the undervolt even further and show you guys what sort of tends to happen once you get to the ranges to the left here where the curve starts sloping down. So I'm going to go ahead and click reset, click profile 1, hit apply, click Control F again, and then I'm going to choose a point, like for example 950 millivolts. I am going to highlight everything to the right of it, hit shift and enter twice. It's going to go ahead and flatten out the graph just like so. Now, as you guys can see, this is only going to boost up to 3 gigahertz and 3.37 gigahertz. This is only going to boost up to 3037 instead of, for example, 3200, which is what it was boosting to at 1000 millivolts. So you are going to see the score actually end up going down, but that's fine, just because you are lowering the voltage that the graphics card is running at. And if you lower the voltage, the frequency that the graphics card can run is obviously going to get lower. So as you guys can see, we're hitting 9715, which isn't really that bad. And we're still getting way more than the average score that you can see right here for the 5080. So I can either quit the undervolt right now, call it a day, save a whole bunch of power right there, or I could take it a step further and undervolt it some more. However, it's completely up to you and your use case for the graphics card and the PC. For me personally, I am probably just going to leave it just like so. So if everything's all done, you can pretty much just save this as a profile onto MSI Afterburner, just like so. And you could either flip between the max performance overclock or the undervolt and overclock and sacrifice just a tiny bit of performance. Nothing too crazy, just a tiny little bit of performance, and save probably up to 80 watts or even more depending on how far you take the undervolt. In this particular case, what you want to do is either run another stress test for the graphics card. You can use OCCT 3D Adaptive. Now, what I would personally recommend is running a few different video games that you tend to play on a daily basis and just playing them for a few hours and seeing if there's any hiccups or any crashes or any errors. If there is, that's whenever you know that you have to turn down the core clock. So in that case, you would just go ahead and load up the first profile that you did, turn down the core clock by 15 to 30 megahertz, hit apply, do the undervolt again. Now, let's just say that you were unstable for whatever reason and the game's crashed. What you want to do is, if you are on an undervolt, you want to go ahead and press the curve editor or just open it, and you can just hold shift and just drag the whole graph down by 15 to 30 megahertz. Now you are going to have to flatten the right side of the graph again, just like so, by pressing that point and hitting shift enter twice. And then from there, you can hit apply and then test your games again, and it should be stable from there. Now, if you just did the normal overclock, that's whenever you could just lower the core slider down. That's all you have to do in that regards. Now, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular guide. I'm going to show you guys how much you could save in terms of wattage in a game like Cyberpunk between stock and overclocked and tuned with this specific method. All right, so as you guys can see, without anything done to the graphics card, it is pulling almost 400 watts, in some cases 380 watts in Cyberpunk with path tracing enabled, 1440p extreme settings, and we're getting around 78 average FPS. Now, I am going to go ahead and put the overclock with undervolt tune, aka just the full-on tune of the graphics card, and run the Cyberpunk benchmark again. And if you guys are wondering what the full settings list is looking like, this is what it's looking like. We're using DLSS quality with DLSS ray construction turned on, texture quality high, path tracing enabled, and everything in regards to the settings set to high or ultra, as you guys can see here. In terms of the basics, I don't believe any of these really affect performance that much, except field of view perhaps, but other than that, all of these set to ultra or high on 1440p. All right, so as you guys can see, we gained a little bit of performance, and we're only hitting 320 watts, 330 watts in some cases with the overclock and undervolt. So not only did we improve the performance on a very demanding title with all the settings maxed out, and we reduced the power usage, as you guys can see here. So that goes to show how much this can help in your situation. Now, obviously, you might be thinking, hey, this is only like, 5 to 10 FPS. The reason why is just because we're running some extreme settings in this scenario. If you did lower the settings a little bit and turned off path tracing and then just ran some normal settings, I could say, then the gains are way higher than that. And especially on games like Marvel Rivals or Call of Duty, it could be upwards of 30 to 40 FPS difference just from this alone. So as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you're testing for stability in multiple different games, and you want to watch for crashes, black screens, flickering or flashing textures, and notifications of your driver resetting. All of those are indicative of instability of your tune entirely. So that could be the undervolt or most likely the core clock / memory clock that you did in the first part of the video. And again, if any of that happens, just lower the core clock by 15 to 30 megahertz or the memory clock by 100 megahertz and keep testing until a real gaming session just is perfectly fine with no issues. You can just do one portion of this video, which is just overclocking the graphics card if you do not really care about undervolting, because either your graphics card is not getting that hot or loud in a specific game that you're playing, or you don't really care about that. Now, a GPU tune is only one piece of a properly optimized gaming PC. It won't fix things like bad Windows settings, background blow, ROM BIOS settings, slow memory, or a poorly set up game. If you want the full PC optimized, go to Zilly.net and book an optimization. We've worked on 10,000 PCs, and we've worked on PCs for Booga, CypherPK, and streamers like Typical Gamer. Follow us for more PC tuning guides that show you exactly what to change and why. Peace.